many others, but let us start with some learning. We begin today chapter 44. In the previous chapter, we spoke about two types of love. A love that comes from above and a love that comes from within. The love that comes from within is something that, in a sense, we own. What does it mean that we own? Is that we had to meditate. We had to think about God's presence in a material world, where we're drawn naturally to a materiality in our lives. Excuse me. When we contemplate and think that the true reality of that materiality is the spark of God that animates it, and that we're drawn towards and want to connect to the spark of God rather than the materiality of whatever it is, then we're transferring the love that we might have for the material that we have a love for God. Well, that comes through an effort. We have to meditate. We have to think about, the reality around us, and to be able to have that awareness in the mind that comes into knowledge meaning das, that connects it to the heart, that we can then have some kind of sentiment in the heart towards a love of God. So that's something we can do from within. It's called avas olam, love, a worldly love, because it's taking the world and transforming the love that we would naturally have for worldly things for godly things, for the God spark, shall we say, in that, or the God reality, whatever term you want to use. Then there's a love that comes beyond us, that we can't create it, we can't mindfully become aware of it. It's kind of just there. And the way we explained it previously, and today there'll be a nuanced take on that, is something that we can't achieve on our own. It's gifted from above. And in the previous chapter, that was a love of delights, meaning avarabba, a magnanimous love that means that we delight in God just because he's God. Not because of what we get from him, not because of his, what he means to me, but what he is himself, so to speak. But let's abstract it from that particular one, as we will apply it to today. It is a love that is gifted, that I don't create. It's from above, in that sense, as opposed to the one we previously explained that is from within. Okay? Hope we got that. So the Alter Rebbe says that these two grades of love, again, avarab and avas olam, the love of magnanimous love, a great love, great in the sense that it's beyond us, right? And avas olam, in a worldly love that comes from within the world. There are many levels to this. He actually quotes from what we say Friday night in Eshes Chayil, the woman of valor. So we say, Neida b'sharim baila. The whole woman of valor is to be taken literally, at least Friday night when we sing it or say it. But it's also to be taken as a metaphor. The metaphor as Neida b'sharim baila, that her husband is known in the gates. A reference to the husband. The gates meaning of the gates of learning, the gates of engagement of learning. That's in a literal meaning. The figurative meaning is that the Baal, the master of the home, is in reference to God Almighty. That he's known. Where is he known? Neided, das, through das. He's known through das. And he's known b'sha'arim, in the gates. So here, the word sha'arim, gates, also means sha'ar, measures. Same word. A gate is a measure, right? Because the gate is this big or that big, whatever, right? A certain measure. So where is there the measure? Where is God known? In the measure of one's das. As much as you know about God, that will be the measure that your heart will be able to incorporate. If you know very little about God, then your heart will have a small measure of being able to produce a love of God. The more you know, the more the measure, the greater the measure, the more you can produce in your heart, right? So that means that every person, that measure will be different. That measure will be different. And as the Alter Rebbe says, these are the secrets, things that are only known to God. Meaning, I don't know what's in your heart, and you don't know what's in my heart. I don't know what my measure is. I don't know what your measure is. Probably we don't even know our own measure. Let alone someone else's measure, what they're capable of knowing and producing a love of God. So that's a secret unto God. As opposed to the things that are not a secret, which are found equally in all of us, and that is those things that are revealed. What are revealed? Not the love of God, as we just explained, but the fulfillment of the commandments of God, right? In other words, we all have an equal obligation. For, everybody has to make a prayer on their food. Everybody has to pray to God, right? How much is the feeling is one thing, but the actual pronouncing of the words, vocalizing the prayer, putting men who have the equal obligation, putting on the tefillin, women lighting their Shabbos candles, the adherence of a holiday of Shabbos and so on and so forth. Those observances are equal in the sense that they are observable. That's why we call it observance, but not when it comes to love and awe of God. When it comes to love of God, those are things of the heart, and they vary in accordance. The observance is the same observance. The putting on of the tefillin is the same. The lighting of the Shabbos candles is the same, right? But what's in our heart, it's not the same. And therefore, only God knows what's going on in our hearts. With that, the Alter Rebbe says, he goes now into explaining that we can take the two types of love that we spoke about, Ava Rabba Ba'aba Selam, a love from above and a love from within, and incorporate it into one. So as a matter of fact, we're going to have a lot of that coming up in upcoming ideas and chapters. And here he comes up with one, and it's based on a verse in Isaiah. The verse in Isaiah says, "My soul, I desire you. I desire you." So the Zohar explains, what does it mean that my soul, I desire you? What do you mean, what's about my soul? So the Zohar explains that you, God, are my soul. You are my life. You are my vitality. Therefore, I desire you. Right? You are my true soul. You're my true life. Because of that, I desire you. What does that mean? What is the basic human need? The greatest yearning that we have is for life itself. For life itself is the greatest need that we have, is to live. The greatest desire we have is to live. So when we understand that that life itself is really the life of God, that is my very life, my very soul, my very being, then that yearning will be for God. Now, he gives it as a metaphor that, we take life for granted, right? Like right now, think about it. right now, sorry, in class. Simpa, something urgent? Right now, sorry folks, my awareness of my life is not my, take it for granted. We all take it for granted because it's just there. When don't we take it for granted? Well, perhaps if you exercise very hard and you're exhausted, or you ran somewhere and you're exhausted. That moment that you feel exhausted, the desire, the yearning that you should get another breath, a full breath, a glass of water to restore your vitality, at that moment, you don't take life for granted. So in that sense, when we are aware that God is my real life, my real, me, and my vitality, and then I'm aware of that, so as much as I want life, and I yearn for that, that's as much as I want God and yearn for him. Now this is bringing two things together over here. One is that God is my life is a given, right? It is not something it's not something that I have created from within. In other words, that I've developed with my mind and heart. No, that's a reality that is beyond me. But at the same time, it's a reality that I can take for granted. And therefore I need to be aware, meditate, think about it in order to actually incorporate it into my life. So, Alter Rebbe says, that when we understand this, we can have now a combination of the two, of a love that's a given and a love that I need to own. In other words, what's given, again, just to make sure we have the clarity on the idea, what's given is that God is my very vitality, my very existence, my very life. That's not something that I've produced, not from me. It's from, so to speak, a gift from above. But my awareness of that and to live with that is something that is from within. From within, when we speak about from within, we mean using the mind to think about, meditate upon, that it brings it to our heart, that we have a feeling, a desire to connect to God, to yearn for God, which will produce ourselves to engage in Torah and mitzvahs in order to have a life. That's it, folks. Today's Tanya. Stuart from Lake Grove, New York. Thank you for joining. Angelina from New Hampshire. Boker Tov. Cynthia from Ohio. Mark is with us from Santa Rosa, California. Boker Tov. Marjorie from Dania Beach, Florida. Shavua Tov. Karen from Los Angeles. Boker Tov. Susanna, Hollywood, Florida. Shalom. Ruth from New York City. Hannah, Boker Tov. Ita, good morning. Lisa, thank you for joining. Angelina from South Texas, good morning. And who else? Julie from Florida, Boker Tov. Amir, Max. Robert from Boston, Shalom. Adrian from Argentina, Chodesh Tov. Lisa, Margalozata. And thank you very much, folks. All right. Damien from Pennsylvania. All right, folks, sharing is caring. Please share the Alter Rebbe's teachings with others. For those interested, tonight at 6:30, there'll be a class on Facebook, Chabad Zichron, Chabad ZK, if you want to follow it on Facebook at 6:30 tonight. And thank you for joining. And please, sharing is caring, so please share the Alter Rebbe's teachings with others. I'm Rabbi Ronnie Fine, coming to you from my home in Montreal, Canada, where it's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya. Have a wonderful day, a wonderful week, Shavua Tov, a good Tovach, and a good month.